So it looks pretty big, huh? Well, it doesn't feel as good as you think it would, even when it's this big. I'm here to talk about the Cleave build that I put together very quickly yesterday. I did level up a new character, but in terms of putting the build together, I swapped it over in just a couple hours, recycling a lot of my gear from my previous two builds, kind of building on the foundation of what I had going with the Power Charge stacking Occultist and the Frenzy Charge stacking Frostblades Raider, kind of combine them. And I'm here to tell you guys, don't play Cleave. It's not very good, but you can make it a playable skill if you're really, really into it. Let's start talking about it. So yeah, what happened is going into League Start when we read the patch notes, folks in chat were kind of memeing and joking about playing Vaal Cleave, the +2 radius, yada yada. And I regrettably said out loud, if I get X number of subs on Twitch, then I'll play Vaal Cleave. As a person of my word, I will always stand to that. If I promise I'll do something, I will do it to the best of my ability. So what this is a Vaal Cleave Assassin. Actually, I'm not using Vaal Cleave right now, and I'll get into that in a second, but it's a Cleave Assassin. And basically what it is a combination of my previous two builds, a Power Charge stacking Original Sin Occultist and a Frenzy Charge stacking Original Sin Frostblades Raider. I basically recycled almost all of the gear. The only thing that changed, honestly, from the last build is because Cleave is not an elemental skill with conversion to cold built into the gem like Frostblades, I had to craft some fizz to cold conversion gloves. In addition, this actually gives me freeze prolif, which is kind of nice. The reason why I wanted to go Assassin is to leverage Harness the Void here, which gives you non-chaos as extra chaos. And because what we're doing is fizz to cold to fire with Heat Shiver, we're using a physical weapon with Cleave with 100% fizz damage. Then we're converting it through the cold passive and our gloves for 100% conversion. And then cold as extra fire with the Heat Shiver. And then with Original Sin, that all gets converted to chaos damage. You know, the same flavor of what I've been doing for about the past month, continuing to play within this archetype and experimenting. I wanted to play around with Harness the Void because we're doing all of these conversions, especially cold as extra fire. We're going to get all of the non-chaos through all of the conversions as extra chaos with Harness the Void. Fortunately or unfortunately, small jewels are just really, really good. Like this jewel right here, if I was using an elemental skill, would be even better. Just like this, I have 30% crit multi, 16% cold damage, some melee damage, some crit chance, stuff like that. Two of these jewels actually ends up giving me the exact same amount of damage, like really, really close as using Harness the Void. Now, there's other ways of leveraging it. You can make it stronger than just two regular jewels. You know, at this moderate investment right now, it just doesn't really come to fruition. What we're doing is Cleave on an Assassin right here. You know, we have the regular suspects for the damage nodes right here. We're getting both power and frenzy charges. We're actually using Divergent Cleave right here, which when I talk about AoE in a second, you'll know why. Multi-strike, inspiration, void manipulation, power charge on crit, and awakened elemental damage with attacks. So exact same thing pretty much as the Frostblades build. You know, we're using Herald of Purity, Herald of Ice, and Hatred to leverage fizz as extra cold and fizz into cold as much as possible. Still using my All's Uprising right here. You know, I was considering maybe using a Badge of the Brotherhood or just like a plus gem level, something like that. You know, I didn't want to like invest a ton. I spent less than 30 divines putting this build together, you know, with the gear that I already had. And I'm also just using a savior right now. In the PoB, which is just a prototype, it's not like a build recommendation. Like I said, don't play this. You know, I have a perfect jeweled foil that you can equip, and you can see it about doubles the damage versus the savior. But the savior does give us a reflection, which has some quality of life right there. And I just had it in my stash, and you know what? Why not use it, right? So Cleave is just an AoE skill that only gets AoE from the gem radius and from, you know, anything that has increased area of effect. So you can see we're using Divergent specifically here for 40% increased AoE while not dual wielding, which, you know, we're not, because dual wielding is bad. I'm also using Vast Power with Assert Dominance. I have 7 power charges, so I get 21% AoE right here. Assert Dominance is 25% AoE. Then I have a Magnifier, Towering Threat. I'm very, very invested into AoE. And then I'm even using a Dying Sun. So you can see, like, my AoE gets pretty decent, and I actually can get a little bit more. Let's go to Blood Aqueducts, and I can show you guys. And here's the problem with Vaal Cleave. I keep saying Vaal Cleave. This is the problem with Cleave. Is because it only scales off of radius and increased AoE, there's really only so much size that we can get out of it. And like, yeah, the traditional way to do it is build it on a Slayer, and that's only 50% increased AoE. I think I have like 177% increased AoE with, you know, all my buffs up and everything. And as you can see, let me kill at least 5 monsters. It gets pretty big, and it actually like looks playable and can kind of like feel good-ish. there's so much opportunity cost, right? Into scaling into the AoE and trying to make it feel okay. We got a nice little T16 map right here to show off. When I was playing this on stream last night, folks were saying, you know what? This actually makes me kind of want to play it. And this is the problem, is like, yeah, with this archetype and this put together like this, it does feel okay. The main problem is I invested a lot into AoE. As we can see, the effectiveness of added damage only at 249% with 80% attack speed. That's actually just kind of bad. The easiest way we can demonstrate this, right? If we take a look at Cleave, 237% AoE times 80% attack speed, as you can see. And this is a good way you can kind of like estimate, your single target damage, right? 237 times 0.8, that's 189. Now, if we go to Heavy Strike, which, yeah, it's not big AoE, it's just a strike skill, but in terms of our single target damage, times 0.85 right here, 266 versus the 189. And that's not even counting the chance to deal double damage. And yeah, like Cleave just doesn't have what it takes. So yeah, anyway, just to show this off real quickly, let's just get our charges right away. What it looks like, it looks and feels okay, right? And this is with a good amount of investment. With a good jewel foil, we could be doing double this damage. You can see with, with a gigantic shrine, the AoE looks pretty good. Looks like it's pretty satisfying and awesome. So maybe I'm not doing a good job of convincing you guys not to play this, but it's like okay, right? And the problem is, like, I invested quite a bit into the AoE, which could be single target damage. And the single target damage is okay. It's not bad, right? Like, it is what it is, right? You're attacking in a cleaved area in front of you. We have freeze prolif, we have nice shatters and all that. It gets the job done, and it's pretty fast, and it feels decent, but I think it just, for what I invested into it, and this is what you really want to evaluate, like how you're evaluating a build, is like, are you getting the quality of life and the damage and the feel that you would expect and want out of a build for what you put into it? And I would argue that Cleave just doesn't give you that return on investment. If you really like the feel and you like the look, entirely viable, entirely playable. It's not an unusable skill. It can get the job done. All right, and then why am I not using Vaal Cleave? Well, the main reason is because I needed a level 21 Divergent Cleave to get the plus 11 radius as well as the increased AoE. I don't want to pay for a 2120 Vaal Divergent Cleave. I'm not even sure that exists right now. I do have a 2020 Vaal Cleave, and I played around with it for a little bit. Vaal Cleave has a couple additional properties. It has 400% effectiveness of added damage, so it hits much, much harder. It has Culling Strike. It can't be evaded. And the big, unique characteristic of it is it does give you a Headhunter buff if it has a killing blow on a rare or unique monster. It also grants you a 60% more cleave damage buff if you've killed even just a unique monster and not a rare monster. And I'm here to tell you it is clunky as hell, especially since I'm using the Savior. I will have my reflections out that are also attacking, and sometimes they kill the rare monster when I want to kill them. Clearly, with Vaal Cleave, the Savior is not ideal. It's just really clunky. It has, as you can see, it has plus 0.8 seconds to attack time. It has this big, like, charge up, cool animation with, like, a Reaper comes out. It looks pretty cool. But, like, making it actually get the killing blow is kind of difficult, especially when you're in the thick of things. You're just trying to, like, navigate around and fight monsters and dodge stuff. Everything about it, like, kind of misses the mark to me. Like, the real big thing that I think would make a difference, if it didn't have to land the killing blow, if it just gave you a buff that if the monster dies, like, within half or 1 second after you hit them with Vaal Cleave, I think that would make a very, very big difference, instead of having to kill them with that cleave blow. I'll show it to you guys here real quick. So let's see, that was about 3 packs of monsters to get the to get all the souls for it. 25 souls for 1 charge, not bad. And then my Vaal Cleave right here, if you look, you can see it was like that animation. And you already saw, right? The Savior clones are out there killing the monsters. I have some stolen modifiers right here. I also have Executioner, which gives me, that's my Vaal Cleave bonus, which is really nice. It does make it better, right? You have to weave in the Vaal Cleaves. It is good for giving you more damage. You get that Executioner bonus. You get more AoE. But, like, making it work, and it's only on rare and unique monsters, it's just, like, really clunky, and it's really slow. It has this, like, very stilted feel to it. Let's see. Let's find a rare. Oh, we got a unique monster. So we got the unique monster. We get the Executioner. We get the AoE bonus, which, as you can see, is pretty decent. But, like, since I'm already scaling so much AoE, that 60% additional, it's not, like, night and day, right? I don't know. It's, like, clunky. Like, do you want your cleave to be weaker when you haven't killed a monster with Vaal Cleave? Probably not. You're on the lookout for rares and uniques just to try to leverage it. I would rather just use like Divergent Cleave and have it be bigger all the time, right? And just not worry about getting the Vaal Cleave bonus. I think if they made it so you at least get the Executioner bonus when you killed maybe a magic monster and leave the Headhunter effect for rare monsters, and or make it, like I said before, if you hit the monster but don't kill them, you get like a temporary debuff that will grant you the buff if they die within like half a second. I think that would go a long way as well. I've already talked longer than I wanted to talk about this build anyway. I just wanted to show you guys that, yeah, it's viable. Like in this current setup right now with the Savior right here, it's a 50 Chaos Sword. It's basically free. I'm doing a roughly 15 to 20 million DPS, depending on my buffs and all that, whether they're up or not. It's good enough. And I'll show you guys a Unending Hunger fight, just to give a quick little example of what the single target, you know, at this level investment with the Savior can look like. It's okay. You know, there's nothing special good about it or bad. You know, it's decent damage. You can do it to do some single target fighting if you want to. And, you know, if I had a good sword, this would be about double this damage. And yeah, uber viable, but uber comfortable, no. And I just would not recommend it. If you want to show off to your friends that you can play Cleave or whatever, you know, the big showcase here, right, is Heat Shiver, Expedition's End, and Original Sin is a great combo, and you can play it on many, many different ascendancies. As long as we still have Original Sin and Balance of Terror in the game, you know, we can use this as a framework to make even the most clunky and obnoxious skills in the game kind of feel pretty decent. But again, I do not recommend this. I just want to show that as possible. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to be changing this to something good later today on the stream. This is the end of Cleave. I think I made it work, but I never want to play it again. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye.